So we are back, and in this section we'll be hearing from the founders of quantum and deep tech companies who will tell us a bit more about their highs and lows of developing their companies. So while we're kind of running through this, please do add in some questions in the chat box and we'll try and answer them in the Q&A session at the end. So up first, we're going to be speaking to Caroline, who's going to tell us a bit more about running Ketz.
Well, hello everyone, I'm Caroline. For those of you who already know Ketz, some of this story will be familiar, but if not, I'll take you through a little bit about our journey. Ketz is on a mission to secure the world's information, which is becoming increasingly valuable when we're in a permanently turned on and connected world. We're doing this by developing quantum safe security solutions, and we're starting with quantum key distribution and other systems that are built on quantum random numbers. It's hard to believe, but Ketz is now 4 years old, having initially been started to commercialize research in miniaturing integrated quantum communications at the University of Bristol, so we're local. We're a team of 12 now, and that includes engineers, operations people, and business development team. I'm sure you already know this, but Bristol's a world leader in integrated quantum technologies, and doing things on a tiny little chip that used to take up the space the size of a lab. Ketz took the world's first on-chip QKD demo and started the process of building all of the systems and software and hardware structures around it so that we could create a scalable solution to the threat that quantum computers pose. Phil Simpson, our CTO, went through the QTech program and was part of the successful first cohort that Zhao also was on, that Andy was talking about just a minute ago. We all worked in the university in Ketz early days, and we sort of had a foot in each camp, and it wasn't until late 2018 that we stepped completely away from our roles in university and delved 100% into this kind of unknown world, I suppose. I'm the COO, so I look after all of our finances, people, projects, legal staff, anything currently that's not technical. And I'd love to say it was my lifetime ambition to do this job, but we all know that's not how it works. I joined Ketz initially as a favor to the team to help them, for want of a better word, to get their shit together. I'm a mechanical engineer by background. I've got a PhD in ultrasonic signal processing, and I've worked in academia, consultancy, research management, and I've also done things. I run my own sports therapy business. I know it's a bit out there. And work with SMEs and entrepreneurs to facilitate collaboration with universities. So I've done lots and lots of things that require being able to juggle lots of things and keep it all kind of tied in a nice tidy pile so that you can see what you've got to get done. And I guess that's why the guys asked me if I would help them out. In terms of highs, being here in Bristol is a massive high before you even get started. So, you know, we've got Set Squared, we've got QTech that's been around for so many years now, helping companies like us kind of get going. We've got QTech now starting up to support, you know, collaboration and integration across all quantum companies. You know, great universities in the region. You've got Bristol, but also you are doing some amazing things, and the business school is brilliant up there. Location-wise, you know, we're perfectly set for traveling to London, cyber corridor and all that sort of stuff. So being here in Bristol is a massive high. An early one for us was winning the University New Enterprise competition, and that gave us a bit of sort of legal advice and a bit of PR early doors, and in many ways was quite a nice thing to celebrate before the real work happened. And I think at that point we probably didn't really know what was ahead of us. Raising investment obviously is a massive high, and we raised our seed round in 2018, and we've been building on that ever since. That was also a massive low, I suppose, because before that money came into the bank, I think we had £6 left. I think we were paying ourselves a little bit at the time. We had an Innovate UK grant on the go. Hopefully no one from Innovate UK is listening, because we were definitely at the edge at that point. But once the money came in and we started kind of taking on team members, again, more highs, taking on first people, taking on most recent people. I mean, people who know me will know that my interest is in those people. And so employing those people, taking them with the skills that they had when they arrived, and taking them through the years that they've been with us now, and all the skills, seeing all the skills they now have, is a massive high, particularly for me. Hiring our first female engineer, which has taken us till this year to do, again, massive high, and a real bonus, I think, to have someone on the team who brings a bit of a different perspective. Moving to QTech, which is currently down in One Cathedral Square. Again, massive high, a real sense of professionalism, like we were a real company when we moved down there. Before, we had been in a crappy little office in the basement of a university building that definitely felt a little bit like we were winging it. For me, one of the best things that I've done so far, and we've done lots of really good things, but was getting the train to London with one of our software engineers to the Barclays Entrepreneur of the Year Awards. We had a posh dinner with our names on a table, which was excellent, and fancy black tie event with Trevor McDonald dishing out the awards. We went on the train in our gear, and we ran across London in our trainers, and we dashed back in the evening. It was just a really, really lovely evening, and great to be able to take one of our software engineers with me to that, and that will definitely stay with me as a massive high. I've said in terms of lows, the getting down to £6 in the bank was not ideal. COVID this year, absolutely not ideal. The lab's closing. We're building hardware, so who would want to be shut out of their lab for 4 months? I'm really proud of the team and how we've kind of turned things around and planned alternative scenarios and pushed on. We haven't furloughed any of our team, and we've made progress. We've raised a little bit of extra funding in that time, and we've got a plan to kind of now ramp up. And obviously we've got a live raise on the go. We're looking for £6 million for our Series A, which is why Chris is off pitching at the same time as I'm talking to you. So they've all been difficult things, but we've got through them. In terms of the pitfalls that you could foresee and may well, and Andy touched on some of them, you could say that, you know, not having a clear vision, getting patent stuff wrong, signing dodgy collaboration agreements or other legal documents, selling yourself short, accidentally forgetting to do your annual return for Companies House or some other thing like that are definitely pitfalls. And probably you fall into one of them almost every day. But the key thing is that you keep calm and carry on, whether that be on a long time scale or a short one. And that you look after yourself and your team members' health and well-being, and that's really the most important thing. I use the Calm app every single day for mindfulness and meditation, which is really important. And the one that I did this morning it always comes up with a little quote at the end, and the one that I did this morning was really resonant for this session, I think. And it said, I'll quote it. I've got it written down here for you. Bill Phillips, an American entrepreneur, said, "If you wait until everything in your life is perfect before you begin something challenging and new, you'll be waiting forever. The best time is now." So there you go. There will be challenges ahead. There always are. There's always stuff you forget. It's always hard. There are always challenging negotiations to be done with the university if you're spinning out, but they'll come anyway. So if you're thinking about doing it, just do it, because there's no better time. Kim, that's everything I had to say. Hopefully I didn't waffle on too long. Feel free to shut me up.
That's great, thank you. I think it's so important making sure that you are happy, healthy, that your company and your teammates are. I think that's really important, and that's a really good quote. So thank you very much for sharing that one with us. David, are you ready to come up next live?
Yes. Yes.
Fantastic.
Hi, hello. Well, I'm obviously way earlier than the other two companies that both Andy and Karen talked about. Just before starting, a little bit of background of what we do and why we do that. So basically, our main concern is that we are all aware that the effects of the climate change, that the future doesn't look really bright for all of us. So our motivation is kind of help building a future for us and for future generations. And because all these problems have arisen due to our activities, we think that our activities can also help doing that. And we're focusing on agriculture, that so far has been one of the main causes of this kind of environmental debacle. But we think that we can provide a solution. Agriculture has to be the solution for that. We all know we need to keep on feeding the world, but we can't continue chopping down more trees, and we can't pour more fertilizers just because that won't do it. There's a biological limitation to that. So basically, the only thing that's left to do is improve the activity or the efficiency of plants, and that's what we're doing. We develop nanomaterials to help plants harvest sunlight better and then increase growth. So this whole technology started at the University of Bristol about 4 or 5 years ago as a project in PhD and a collaboration between chemistry and life sciences. And we realized that there was something that was worth taking it forward and becoming into a business in order to make a real impact. And by then, I was very lucky to get engaged with the QTech team. I got a QTech fellowship that really helped me go through this transition from scientist to work. To be honest, I haven't just started the transition. I'm still transitioning as it is. So, but yeah, I'm guessing it would be way more difficult to start transitioning without the help of the QTech and all the training and support. And as soon as we started, we realized that there's a really exciting, growing community here in Bristol and area in entrepreneurship or entrepreneurs that are always ready to help and support and give advice, and also professionals that link to this entrepreneurial network, talking about lawyers, IP, patent attorneys, and people like that. They're always happy to give free advice, which we really appreciate that, especially now that we are still very, very small. So that's really useful. And it's a growing community for certain things, especially for us, maybe being a bit selfish, it's growing too fast, and we are struggling to find certain facilities that we'd like to have there. So that's one of a bit of a problem. But yeah, it's been really helpful. So that was about a year and a half ago, and everything was according to plan. We got an Innova UK grant linked to the ICO program, which is really great because it's not just you need to look for just a third of the funding that you need, but also give some validation to what you're doing, and that is a good point when talking to investors. So, and yeah, everything was going according to plan until COVID arrived. And then everything we planned was so rent out space at university to do the manufacturing of our product and do the product development, and then also renting space in the greenhouse at university was not accessible anymore because universities are very strict on social distancing measures, and they are the first ones in shutting down, the latest one, or the last ones in opening back again. So that wasn't, a bit in hindsight, was a bit of a mistake, relying on just one option and also a kind of university-based option. But as I said before, thanks to the community around Bristol, the entrepreneurial community, like the network, which is always something that is something you can rely on, is very helpful. We managed to continue. We managed to produce our products, and now we're producing our product here at Bristol, and we are testing it in Barcelona, in York, and in Reading as well. So things are moving forward, and now we're going towards the next funding stage. So let's see how this goes from now on. So basically, much really I gotta say. Just so that, as I said again, as I said before, depends on the activities you're into. Our activities are forcing us to look at other areas, because one thing we learn is flexibility, but also making things that not possible, making them possible. And we are looking at other options and moving forward, as in terms of maybe going somewhere in Oxford, Cambridge, because you never know. The plan is to stick in Bristol, but again, you need to look further ahead, like a year ahead or something, how things are going to work. But yeah, very early still for us in terms of many pitfalls and successful stories to tell. But yeah, so far so good. Well, one thing that was a bit like probably what I could highlight as one of the main hard times we've been through was when deciding whether to go to spin out or startup route. Each one provides a different range of options. The spin out was kind of an easiest way in terms of getting the license, but were a lot of string attached. The startup route gives a bit more flexibility, but on the other hand, it involves a bit more funding required, but also going through licensing issues and things like that. That probably we were not expecting that. But yeah, that's one thing that you also learn, that anything can happen and you have to be ready for everything. So that's where we are.
Thanks, David. I think that's really important about the kind of adaptability and flexibility of the individuals running these companies, because you're going to always have things thrown at you. And I think it's really key that you can drive that forward and keep going no matter what. So thanks so much for your comments on that. James, are you ready to go?
Yeah, all good. Hi, everyone. James Vickery, Managing Director and co-founder of Nano. So we manufacture atomic force microscopy probes. So these are small silicon sensors that make atomic force microscopy possible, AFM being a nanoscale characterization technique similar to, in a similar vein to like electron microscopy. We started out from Bristol Physics. Our research group was heavy into AFM and scanning probe microscopy development, primarily the instrumentation side of things, but having gone through multiple different probe manufacturers, suppliers, we thought perhaps there's a gap in the market for doing something ourselves. I guess we were a bit different from a lot of university spin-outs in that we didn't have any IP at the time. We just had a foolish person, namely me, who wanted to go up and start his own business. And no. At a particular point, no able to go and do what we wanted to do, as we were kind of still employees at the time. The original plan was to put in a bit of founders' money and grow organically. So we did set off down that path. And I think we very quickly realized how we'd underestimated just how much, I guess, money and the quality of the facilities that you need to use to.
I think we might have lost James.
A manufacturing company. Ketz.
Oh, I think he's back.
Nope, I'm back. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so we underestimated just how much, I think, money and the quality of the facilities that we needed to start this manufacturing company. We started off putting a bit of founders' money in and tried to subcontract the first prototypes, and then we thought we could test and sell some of those and put that money to go back into next iteration and grow organically from there. When you go in, I guess when you go down the subcontract route, you are then to some extent at the mercy of their technical capability and incentive to do a good job. And we did fall down there. We weren't getting particularly good communication, and the technical output wasn't, well, they weren't able to reproduce what we had sort of prototyped in the university clean room sort of a couple of years before. At that point, that's when I basically decided to kind of step in and do stuff myself again, with the challenge of finding where to do it. And there aren't many places in the UK where you can access what is effectively a £3 million equipment set for microfabrication. Certainly not in Bristol at that time anyway. So we've ended up going up to the Scottish Microelectronics Centre in Edinburgh, where they had a really good equipment set. They've already been geared up for commercial activity in the centre, which is fairly unusual for a university clean room facility. And kind of since then, we haven't looked back. We did persevere with the organic growth route. So I went up there and prototyped the first sort of 5 wafers of product. And we got further in 3 weeks up there than we had in the previous year, going down the subcontract route. So I think that's one of the highlights for me is sort of proving that if you want the good job done, you kind of sometimes have to go and do it yourself, particularly as a founder. Now, saying that, the organic growth route wasn't really going very far, very fast. Found it very hard to break into the market. Our strategy was always to have effectively a Me Too product that we could generate revenue from, whilst then going down a prolonged period of R&D to bring a new process and product to market. But without being able to easily being able to break into the market, we found the revenue wasn't as high as we wanted it to be. Thankfully, we were part of Set Squared, and that's really what gave me the impetus to start looking down investment and grant funding. And thankfully, we have our chairman is a chap called Rick Chapman, who's as part of Set Squared Entrepreneurs in Residence, and he's the one that really gave me a bit of a kick and suggested this was the way forward. Otherwise, it was going to be a very hard slog. And lo and behold, he was right, because at the first attempt, we got the Innovate UK project off the ground and the investment to match that. And I think at that point, at the end of that project, that enabled us to do a feasibility study and prove our new process. And that then gave us the confidence to go down the kind of the wider investment route and additional grant funding. At that point, we've basically raised about half a million in terms of grant and investment. And that was the exciting time of being able to then start building the team, both technically and commercially. We've maintained our ties to Edinburgh, so we now have a team of 3 guys up in Edinburgh who do a mixture of production and R&D. It's been a good place to hire those people. They've all come through PhDs in Edinburgh and using the clean room, so we haven't really had to train them up in microfabrication. They've got that skill set. They've just been able to apply it to our products and processes. And we've been building a commercial team down in Bristol. We really welcomed the start of UnitDX. So I had a desk in Set Squared in Engine Shed, but we were the second tenants into UnitDX, primarily because there was the offer of the lab space. The reason why it was set up in the first place was that science companies typically need labs to go and build or test their products, and you can't do that in an office space. It did take us a while to get to the stage where we committed to having a lab, however, but I think that was one of the milestones for me, was having effectively our own room where we're doing our own work and we were able to put our own instrumentation into it. And at that point, it felt like a proper little company. The challenge for us now is scaling. We've got now a couple of years, 3 or 4 years of sales into academia. So we've been building the brand. The R&D has been continuing, and we're progressing the technology readiness levels, but we're not really at a stage yet to be fully commercializing our new processes. But having seen products go out to the US, into Asia, not only to academia now, but into industry as well, that's been really exciting. And the challenge is, the strategy we've broadly, since deciding to move away from the organic growth route, the strategy has kind of been working, growing revenues whilst developing technology and bringing on partners to help commercialize that. Now it's a matter of execution. Can we execute it to how we want to do it, and can we come out the other side? I think in terms of more highs and lows and pitfalls, definitely, from a personal point of view, touch on what Caroline said about health. That's really important. We all think we're a bit invincible from time to time, and think you can work long hours and try and get everything done, but at the end of the day, you're never that effective if you're slogging away at midnight. So health and sleep is really important. There's also a lot of us that seem to have young children when we're starting a business, which is our other child, of course. It's really a bad idea, but we all seem to keep doing it. I think another thing from a personal point of view is just how much there is to kind of learn and understand as a founder and CEO. And definitely agree with Andy, and you need the people around you to help you through that. I think there's a lot of us that want to be perfectionists and try and understand everything. And I think you just have to, when you learn it's impossible to understand everything, then that's the first step into giving yourself more time. And I'm still a perfectionist, so I just have to have people around me to tell me not to be a perfectionist. That's the good things about having a team. They'll just say, let's just do it and move on to the next decision. So I guess that's where we are at the moment, onwards and upwards.
That's great, thank you. I think there's a lot of scientists that are perfectionists, and I think that's something that you have to learn to not be when you're doing a company. In terms of questions, if there's any questions for the founders, please do add it into the chat box. I'd like to personally ask if there was one thing that you wish somebody would have told you when you first started on this entrepreneurial journey, what would it have been? Caroline, do you want us to go first?
Oh, it's a really, really good question. What's one thing someone would have told me? There'll never be any less work to do. It will always be the same. So don't think in a year's time it's going to be any easier. Stop kidding yourself.
That's good. James?
Probably there's probably a few things. We've probably touched on a few of them already, but you can't keep everyone happy. I think, particularly from customer point of view, it feels like you can go off and sell things, create products for people, but everyone wants something a little bit different, and you really have to control, I think, just what you go after and be strict with yourself as to which avenues you choose to pursue.
And David, is anything you?
I don't know, so many things. If I have to pick one, probably be like, well, first is get used to being told no. Like, whenever you stumble, you just get out and continue. That's because in academia is a safe. It's still too recent to me, so it's a very safe environment in academia, and so it's a different kind of situation. So yeah, and another thing is probably like. It's not I'm not a perfectionist, but yeah, by my background, as a scientist, you tend to, everything has to be, all your ducks in a row, so before saying, yeah, that's done. And now, no, it's not. So good is enough to move forward. But yeah, I don't know, so many things. I could spend even longer, listing the things I should have known before starting. But yeah, these are probably the highlights.
Thanks so much, and thanks again to Caroline, David, and James for showing your kind of thoughts on starting up a business. So our next panel session will be starting up soon. That's going to be on the entrepreneurial ecosystem within Bristol. There'll be a very short interlude whilst we get the panelists together in the backstage area. So please take this time to start adding questions into the chat box on the right-hand side, and we'll be back very, very soon. Thank you.